Well, the Pegasus is a fast new steamer. You'll be sure of your cargo arriving on time, Mr. Noseworthy.
I'm looking for the best price. 27 shillings a ton.
I fear you may look in vain.
You'd rather sail a half-empty ship, eh?
Oh, she doesn't go on the berth till Monday. There are other customers.
Indeed. Handle the ships.
Right. Lower away. Under below. Right. Easy. Easy. Easy.
Mr. Noseworthy,
Yes.
is the Beach Navigation Company to be favoured with your order, sir? There is still room on the Kingfisher for another 400 tons.
I'm aware of it, Mr. Beach.
She sails next week, and at 26 and ninepence, I'll not be short of custom.
26 and 9, you say?
That's what I quoted, wasn't it? Shall you come to our desk?
Aye.
All trading will now cease for the remainder of this day in respectful memory of the late Mr. Jack Fraser, our former president.
A true gentleman, if ever there was, man. A man of integrity. His death is a loss of the whole shipping world.
Shall I have your...
A hard man, you can't deny that. But he was always true to his word.
Spare us the eulogies, Joe. We had the funeral oration in church. Your sister's inherited the Fraser line, but who's going to run it?
Well, when my sister gets back from South America, she will appoint a manager.
You only need a good man to step into Mr. Fraser's shoes.
What'll you do in the meantime?
It's barely a concern of mine, but Mr. Dunwoody can be relied upon. He's served the company many years.
A clerk is hardly empowered to speak for his masters. Not in a matter like this.
Matter? What matters that?
Your wife is waiting outside in the carriage.
Well, I'm just coming.
Mr. Crampton's cloak, please, Alice.
You know, it must be regretted that Jack Fraser didn't make better provision for the future. Good day to you both.
Good day, Joe, and thanks very much
Joe.
for coming.
Bye-bye. Sanctimonious hypocrite. He drove the Brazil rate down to 27 shillings this morning.
Oh, when a man's pushed, he can't afford to sail an empty
Nor
ship.
can anyone. But what happened? Beach comes in next with an offer of 26 shillings and ninepence. We're just cutting each other's throats.
Too many steamers, not enough freight.
Now, if we all get together, Crampton's line, my own, the Beach Navigation Company, Fraser's, and form a conference,
Victorate amongst yourselves.
and all undertake not to go below it. It's already been agreed in principle by every line except one.
One's enough. One company undercutting your conference rate.
No, the only company standing out is Fraser's, because Fraser was never approached on the matter.
How's that?
We all thought to wait till he was over his illness. So, who do we approach now, Onedin? Mr. Dunwoody.
There is only your carriage left outside now, Mr. Bell.
I'll not overstay my welcome. Bye, Mrs. Onedin, and tired so much.
I'll see you
Now,
out,
if
Sam.
we form this conference, we stay afloat. If not, we sink. But some will sink faster than others.
Aye, well, it's to be thought on. Well, good day, Sam. Thanks very much for all your help.
Conference, what's that?
Well, it's an association of shipping lines in the South American trade. I think it's a splendid notion.
Well, if it's such a good idea, why not just agree to it?
Because, Sarah, I am not in charge of the Fraser line.
I don't know who is, then. Clear away, Alice. With Elizabeth away, there's no one else. And we do have an interest in the company.
15% of the shares does not qualify
More than
me.
any other shareholder in Liverpool at present. It gives you the right.
But of a perfectly satisfactory business of my own.
The chandlery is not to be compared with the biggest dockyard on Merseyside and a shipping line to match.
But it's Elizabeth's, not mine.
Is Elizabeth going to know what's best? As if she'll want to run the company herself anyway. With Fraser's income to enjoy, Elizabeth will settle for a liveried coachman and a row of new bonnets if she's got someone she can rely upon to make all that possible.
Oh, that girl.
Oh, Alice. Oh, get out. Do stop snivelling, Alice.
And what about my political duties?
Mr. Gladstone can manage the affairs of the nation without you, Robert.
There's no call for sarcasm, Sarah. And I do have my constituents to think on.
You've your family to think on.
Frasers are not family.
They could be. You make yourself indispensable here, and within a year or two at most, Elizabeth will make you her partner. She's got to have someone. Who better than her own brother?
No, Sarah, I will do whatever I can until the house is used. But after that...
You owe it to your son.
Goodbye, Mrs. Fraser. I'm sorry that your voyage didn't prove more fruitful.
It was an education, Mr. Harvey. If you would care to call on me tomorrow, I may have something that might interest you.
What might that be, Ma'am?
At 4 o'clock, Mr. Harvey. Please be punctual.
Elizabeth. Welcome home.
You were going to be here to greet me.
Welcome home, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Sarah.
The sea suits you. And why not? The new owner of the Fraser line. Home, Harris?
Goodbye, Mr. Onedin.
Hello, sir.
Oh, I am glad to see you back, madam. Hello, Alice. Oh, looking so well, too. After all that time at sea, do fancy. It's lovely to be home again. Got to be worrying yourself silly about what to give you for lunch first day back. To get changing your mind. And then sending to Mr. Dunwoody to find out when the ship was due.
Stop chattering, Alice, and take Mrs. Fraser's things upstairs.
Yes, Mrs. Onedin. I've had a fire going in your bedroom, too, and it's been properly aired every week. I expect you'll be glad to sleep in your own bed again tonight.
Come along, Alice.
Excuse me, madam. Thank you very much, Alice. Well, she seems pleased to see me.
Yes, I was in two minds about keeping her on. Well, I've been paying out good money to servants, and there's none to serve.
How's William? I wrote to him from Tenerife.
Yes, he told me.
Oh?
He spent the last few days of his holidays here with us. No.
Did he attend the funeral?
No, under the circumstances, we thought it best, you not being there, and no. It all went off very smoothly. Yes, most of the owners turned out, and they closed the exchange early that day as a token. Yes, I thought it was a fine gesture.
Well, I suppose now Mr. Hickson will want to see me about the will.
Oh, yes, and there are some matters of business to discuss with you, too. It's been a very, very difficult time, Elizabeth, but I think I can safely say that we're weathering the storms.
We?
We've joined a conference of the South American trade. All the shipping lines are working at the same fixed rate. It comes into being officially, well, it came into being officially yesterday, as a matter of fact. Not that you've anything to do about it, except sign some papers. No, the real point of what I want to make is that we must find you a good manager.
Confidence. Steamer lines to South America. 32 shillings a ton they fixed. The shippers won't like that.
Sounds low enough to me.
You'd be surprised how the rates have been falling. Steam was down to 26 and 9 at one time.
And our rates? How are they holding?
Oh, not so badly, sir. There's plenty of boat cargo for sailing vessels. You did right to stick to sails.
Good grief.
Sir?
My daughter's coming.
Miss Charlotte?
If I may presume on your paternal affection for your daughter, I propose bringing her to see you on the 18th of this month. We shall come by railway. I am, sir, your obedient servant and governess to your daughter.
Governess?
Letitia Gaunt. Miss.
Well, Miss Moffat will soon put the house to rights, sir.
You don't think I kept on a housekeeper while I was away? Oh, I can send a telegraph, eh? No need for them to come all the way up here. I can go down to Derby, see them.
Is that where they are, sir, Derby?
Aye. We're looked after by Miss Mullen, one of Sarah's aunts.
Be nice to see Miss Charlotte again, sir. How old is she now?
9?
Hey, must be all of that since her mother died.
I'm eager enough to see my daughter, but it's this governess I don't like the sound of. Letitia Gaunt. When's the 18th?
That's tomorrow, sir.
Oh.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Robert.
Were you looking for something?
Not particularly. Just trying to find out what's been happening in my absence.
Oh.
What did you want?
Well, I do have some work to do here, you know.
Oh, yes. I mustn't keep you from that, must I?
Well, while you're here, Elizabeth, you could sign these papers relating to the South American conference. It's not valid until you have.
I was thinking about what you said about getting a manager.
Well, of course. I can't stay here forever, you know. I should be on my way to Westminster now. Ah, here it is.
What do you think about Mr. Dunwoody?
Well, of course, he's got the experience, but it would mean finding you a new chief clerk. Come in.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Onedin. You ought to be getting down to the exchange.
Well, I'm just coming, Dunwoody.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Fraser.
Mr. Dunwoody?
Elizabeth.
I'll not detain you.
Would you just sign this paper?
Oh, not now, Robert.
It won't take a minute.
Alice is waiting to do my hair.
And she was wondering if she ought to get a manager.
Well, she does have a way with the merchants, and not a bad head for business.
When it's not full of good-looking young men. Now, about these demurrage charges...
Well, Mr. Onedin, I do think we ought to make our way to the exchange. Ever since they started this conference, business has been slack, very slack.
Well, the shippers are biding their time. It's the same for everyone.
Oh, it's not, sir. Just for phrases.
Yep.
Can I come in, sir? The front door is open.
Yeah, come in. What time is it?
Getting on for 3, sir.
Oh, the train's due at 1:45.
Anything I can do, sir?
Yeah. Close those windows, will you?
We finished discharging the Charlotte Roads. There's no cargo to take on till tomorrow. Is there anything I can do while you're with your daughter, sir?
Well, I thought to take her down to the quayside. Show her some of the ships. Huh? Hey, maybe even take her sailing. She'd like that, eh?
Perhaps, but I can't rightly see a governess taken to it, sir. I mean, she might hate the sea.
Yes, I expect she will be a little fatigued after her journey. I'm sure she'd be very pleased to stay here. With you.
With me, sir?
Be very ill-mannered to leave an old maid on her own.
Oh, now, Mr. Onedin.
Now, come on, you did offer.
But I was thinking of business. I mean, one of us ought to be on the exchange.
Well, business can wait, eh?
But I'd be no company for a young lady's governess, sir. What do I do?
Keep her company. Make conversation.
Me, sir? With a governess?
Yeah, quick. Use that.
Papa?
Charlotte. Well, you have grown a bit.
Charlotte? Oh, I am sorry, sir. I was paying the cabman. Well, you should have knocked, even if the door was open. You shouldn't just walk in like that. I've no influence over her at all, sir, and I'm supposed to be a governess. Isn't it awful? Oh, I'm pleased to meet you. My name's Letty Gaunt.
But we've always given you good service.
Oh,
And our ship sails next week.
I've 500 tons of textiles in the warehouse. I can start loading now, if you make a fair price. If not, the Crampton ship sails in a fortnight. I shall just have to wait till then.
Well, Crampton's price is the same as ours. We're all in the conference.
Don't see how Fraser's can be. Mrs. Fraser only returned from South America yesterday.
Yes, but even so, Mr. Norsworthy,
I am acting on my sister's behalf, Mr. Norsworthy, and we're all fully committed to the conference. Do I have the pleasure of doing business with you?
At 32 shillings a ton.
Well, that is the conference rate, sir.
Not any... Not any small discount?
When Frasers give their word, sir, they keep it.
Excuse me. Joe, when did your ship sail? Fortnight tomorrow. Have you room for 500 tons of textile?
Well, I have to see. It's very tight. We might be able to accommodate some of it.
What's our next sailing?
Well, in 6 weeks' time, when the Pegasus gets back. And so far, no orders for her at all.
So the porter says all aboard, and we still don't know where we're going. So what does Miss Onedin do then, if you please? She goes up and asks the driver.
He should know.
London, says he.
London?
So you see, we would have taken the wrong train.
What with her remembering I'd left the luncheon basket in Miss Mullen's carriage, and picking up the tickets and I dropped them on the platform. Well, goodness only knows how I'd have managed without her.
Well, how long have you been a governess then, eh?
Well, that's a good question. I was taken on by Miss Mullen's housekeeper to do some needlework, you know, mending sheets and curtains like. Charlotte here used to help me. And then one day Miss Mullen asked me how our Latin and Greek were advancing.
Latin and Greek?
Yes, it seems that she thought the child should have a governess, and seeing me about the house, thought you'd engaged one. Yes, I'm afraid Miss Mullen is a bit like that. Well, naturally, I pack my bags at once. And then Madam here goes into one of her tantrums, and to keep her quiet, I'm told to be a governess.
And does Madam often go into tantrums, eh?
Sometimes I do.
Not for long, because I give her a good slap. But then she slaps me back, and the next thing you know, we're rolling on the floor in fits of laughter. I'm afraid we laugh quite immoderately at times. Miss Mullen's often complaining of the fact.
Poor Miss Mullen.
Aye, poor Miss Mullen. Well, Miss Onedin, how would you like to go down to the quay and explore one of your father's ships, eh?
Oh, may I?
Did anyone ever tell you that you were named after one of them?
And as it happens, she's in the harbour right this moment. Captain Baines?
Sir.
Introduce Charlotte to her elder sister.
Aye, aye, sir. Come on, young lady.
Go down to the hold.
Oh, there's
Mind
a
you,
Go on,
please.
I'll follow you soon, eh?
I can tell you. I tell you, show me one deck, and we'll...
I confess you're not at all what I expected.
More's the pity.
I'm not sorry.
Well, you should be. I'm no more suited to educate your daughter than Miss Mullen is to bring her up. Now, you're going to have to make some new arrangements, Mr. Onedin. Charlotte can't possibly stay where she is any longer.
Aye.
Is something wrong, Robert?
No, it's just a few business worries, that's all.
Fraser business worries?
Oh, nothing that need alarm you, Elizabeth. Well, I think I'll just get along down to the shipping club. You've got to keep your ear to the ground these days.
Excuse me, madam. There's Mr. Harvey here.
He says it's expected. Oh, ask him to come in and bring some tea, will you?
Harvey?
Matt Harvey. Mate on the Alexandra.
Elizabeth, is this quite proper?
I'll be mistress in my own house, Robert, if nowhere else. Mr. Harvey, madam.
Thank you. Yes, well, I'll just get down to the shipping club.
Good afternoon.
You wanted to see me, Mum?
You don't have to stand there like a footman waiting for orders, and you don't have to call me Mum. Sit down. Would you like some tea?
Not particularly.
Oh, what a shame.
Don't let me stop you, though.
No, you won't, Mr. Harvey.
Our daughter'll have no need of Latin and Greek. Taught her to sew, read, write.
There's more to education than that, Mr. Onedin.
Well, then let her go to school.
There's no school within 10 miles.
Miss Mullen seems to think that you're fit enough to have charge of her schooling.
Miss Mullen is totally indifferent to Charlotte's schooling. Indeed, Miss Mullen is totally indifferent to Charlotte.
I see. Well, I'm sure you make up in affection anything denied her by this Miss Mullen.
Well, I hope so.
Hey, and she returns it now, that's plain to see.
Yes. She's beginning to regard me as her mother. Well, that's why I feel compelled to start looking for another situation.
Well, why?
Because I'm growing altogether too fond of her, you silly man. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, we'd better go and join them, eh? We'll talk about it later.
I never lack employment because I can work both types of ships. Once I got my mate's certificate, I put it in my pocket and spent 2 years as an engine hand on steamers. Floating kettles, Captain Baines calls them. Who wants to end up like Captain Baines?
You told me coming back from South America you spent 6 months as a shipping clerk.
That was just to get the introductions I needed to work on the steamers.
Perhaps you should have stayed there.
As a clerk.
Well, I'm sure you would have done if they'd paid you enough.
But I'm a seaman, Mrs. Fraser.
Then more fool you, because there's much more money to be made on land.
I dare say there is, but I'm a seaman.
Captain Baines is a seaman, but a man who pockets his mate's certificate for sailing ships to sweat it out in an engine room isn't a seaman. He's just ambitious.
No, thank you. What did you ask me here for, Mrs. Fraser?
To offer you a job in the shipping office till you're ready to take over from Mr. Dunwoody as chief clerk. Mr. Dunwoody is going to be my manager for a time, until you're ready to take over that job too.
I think perhaps I will have a cup of tea now.
Oh, it's stone cold now. But there is some whiskey over there on that table. It's evident I'll have to have someone to run the business for me one day.
Well, you've made an odd choice.
At least you're my choice. I've had quite enough of wise old men and patronizing elder brothers. Besides, I saw enough of you for 3 months on the Alexandra to know what you're made of.
And?
You're clever, ambitious, prepared to take risks, nobody's servant, and arrogant to the point of insolence. Well, you could at least consider it.
Very well, ma'am.
And don't call me Ma'am.
Well, I would have to as a clerk in your shipping office.
Only in public.
We'd meet at other times.
I hope so, if we're going to build this company together.
I don't quite know how to put this, Mrs. Fraser.
But?
You are sure that it's just as an asset to the business that you want me?
How dare you, Mr. Harvey?
I need to know, Mrs. Fraser. I take it after that the offer's withdrawn?
Only if you choose to misinterpret it.
Very well. I will think about it then.
This is my first ship, Charlotte Rhodes.
So, this is the ship you called Charlotte's elder sister?
Yes.
Mr. Onedin, have you considered where Charlotte and I will be sleeping tonight?
That's my house.
Oh?
I'll be sleeping aboard the ship.
What's down there?
Oh, that's the seaman's quarters. Sling your hammock down there over your sea chest and look out for cockroaches.
Ugh, cockroaches.
And they'll chew your toenails right off.
Oh, can I go up there?
Oh, you better not, or we'll both be for it. Come on. He's your father.
Hello, Charlotte.
Now, what tales has Captain Baines been telling you?
Jack Fraser left everything in trust for young William. But I'm afraid, Elizabeth, in the eyes of the shipping world, that just does not inspire confidence.
What makes you say that?
Robert was down at the shipping club yesterday.
So?
I dined with Joe Crampton. Now, nothing was said directly, but he very kindly dropped me a hint. And the truth of the matter is, Elizabeth, that shippers like Noseworthy prefer to do business with people they know.
He knows me.
Socially, perhaps, but that's not how business is done.
Much of it is.
Of course it is. over the port after the ladies have retired.
Or down at the shipping club where ladies aren't even permitted. Why, you can't even go on the floor of the exchange.
I will, if I choose.
Look, Elizabeth, unless someone is appointed manager, and very soon, a man of sound business sense, a man of some weight and influence, a man who's well known in commercial circles.
What a pity you're not available yourself, Robert. You sound just the man.
Ah, as to that, Sarah and I have had a serious talk. Of course the Chandlery business makes demands on me time, as does being a member of Parliament. But as Sarah quite rightly points out, that need not be a hindrance. It could be a positive advantage.
Are you saying?
It's the best thing by far, Elizabeth.
It would not be without some sacrifice on my part, believe me, Elizabeth, but I would be lacking in filial affection if I were to stand by and watch my own sister
Oh,
go down
stop
through a whole...
being so pompous, Robert.
Elizabeth! Robert is offering to give up all his political hopes in order to save you from certain disaster.
What disaster? What reason do you have for supposing these hints picked up at the shipping club mean anything? There was something on your mind when you went down there yesterday. Now what? What is it?
Mr. Harvey is here again, madam.
Harvey?
He says he needs to see you most particular.
Again?
Show him in. If and when I do appoint somebody as manager, Robert, it'll not be somebody who's frightened to discuss business in front of ladies. Nor will it be somebody of weight and influence at the shipping club. It'll be somebody who doesn't mind what they say to anyone and someone who treats me as an equal and not as a child. Have you decided?
Not yet, madam, no.
Then what have you come for?
To tell you something I think you ought to know. This conference you've joined on the South American trade appears to be a fraud.
Fraud? What do you know about it?
I was drinking with Captain Corcoran last night. He says there's 500 tons of textiles waiting to be shipped and it's been given to everyone but Fraser's.
That doesn't mean to say that the conference is a fraud, but it does underline what I was saying, Elizabeth, that Norsworthy no longer has confidence in the company.
Oh, he's to let you have 100 tons. But that's only because the Crampton ship's full up.
I don't believe it. Now do you see why it's so important for a man to take charge?
Northworth is our oldest customer.
He's not to be blamed, Mrs. Fraser. It's the shipping lines. They're taking advantage of this conference to try and squeeze out Fraser's altogether.
You're slandering some of the most respectable men in Liverpool, sir.
How would they squeeze us out?
By offering discounts.
Offering discounts?
Privately, of course, very privately.
What kind of discounts?
Captain Corcoran reckons about 15% now.
Oh, that's absurd.
Is it? Alice, I want the carriage. Fraser's used to carry 1/3 of the total exports to South America. Soon we'll carry none at all. They fixed that rate so high, knowing only you'd be fool enough to stick to it. Will you come with me, Mr. Harvey?
Where to, ma'am?
The exchange.
You can't go in there.
Don't. We'll see about that.
They won't let you in.
Mr. Northworthy,
Good afternoon, Mrs. Fraser.
I understand you very kindly favoured us with 100 tons of textiles to ship for you.
Aye.
I hope you'll offer us more next time.
That depends on the price.
Oh, I'm sure we can agree on that.
Well, there is the conference to consider, Mrs. Fraser.
I don't recall joining any conference.
Well, Mr. Onedin did give an undertaking.
Anything my brother committed us to was done without my knowledge or consent.
Ah, yes, but even so, I
will
don't think we
deal
could-
with this, Mr. Dunwoody. If we did ever join the conference, we are actually withdrawing now. I consider that far more honest than to offer any discounts. Shall we say 25 shillings in the future, Mr. Northworthy?
25 shillings?
Is that too much?
Oh, it's much too little.
Oh, do forgive my inexperience. I am, after all, just a woman.
You can't carry freight at 25 shillings a ton.
24 and 9pence, then.
Mrs. Fraser, the prince of the family.
Still too high.
No, it's much too low.
What does Mr. Northworthy say?
24 and 6.
I really don't think it's a serious proposition, no. I mean,
What's threepence? Very well, Mr. Northworthy. 24 and 6 at a fixed rate for 6 months.
Mrs. Fraser, I beg you to leave all business to us.
No matter what the state of the market.
Yes.
It'll ruin you.
It'll not ruin me, Mr. Beach.
You can't take a loss of that proportion for 6 months and hope to survive.
Oh, and I think I should tell you that from May 1st, I'm going to put 2 more steamers into the line.
2 more?
So we'll have twice as many sailings, won't we?
There are too many steamers in the trade already.
I'll not lack for cargo at 24 and 6 a ton. Do you not agree, Mr. North?
Oh, you'll certainly have my freight.
And plenty of room left over for any other shippers who care to be interested.
Hey, just a moment. Gentlemen, please. Quiet. One moment, please. Mrs. Fraser, do you really mean this?
Is only a man's word as good as his bond? Very well. Have your clerk write it out in his best copper plate, and I'll sign it, on oath, in front of any witness you care to designate. Mr. Harvey?
Right. 24 and 6 a ton, and for 6 months.
It's just as I predicted, the end of Fraser.
Well, that's just what you gentlemen wanted, wasn't it?
They'll be finished.
We'll all be finished.
You made quite a stir in there.
Yes.
That offer you made me yesterday.
You're prepared to accept it?
I'm sorry for misinterpreting it.
Apologies don't suit you, Mr. Harvey.
The jolly old sailor says, heave away on the rope.
Oh, it's lovely, Papa. Do it again.
Oh, no. Come on, off to bed with you.
Good night, Papa.
Good night.
Good night, Aunt Bessie.
Good night, love. She's very devoted to you, Mr. Onedin.
Doesn't even know me.
Perhaps that's why. I'm told that those who do know you as an ogre.
So, you think I'm an ogre, do you?
I don't know you, do I?
What time are you thinking of leaving tomorrow?
The afternoon train? I hope by then you'll have given some thought to what we spoke about yesterday.
Bring her round to the Charlotte Roads in the morning, will you? You know the way.
Mr. Baines tells me that that was your first ship.
Yes.
Your first child, in a way.
Perhaps.
And to some fathers, the elder always comes first, is that it?
Always put business first, if that's what you mean.
Now I am seeing the ogre, aren't I?
Trouble is, the ogre's getting long in the tooth. Now, the question is, shall I let him?
What do you mean?
Well, I can't afford to take things a bit easy now, not put business first. Something inside of me says no.
That doesn't alter your responsibility to Charlotte.
But isn't it better she's brought up by somebody who can always be with her than a father who can't be?
Yes, as long as that someone truly loves her and is always with her.
As you could be. Listen, there's this house I know. It's up for sale. I take it you wouldn't mind Charlotte treating you like a mother if legally you were. Huh?
What? Mr. Onedin, if you're suggesting what I
Now,
think
look,
you are...
I can have a solicitor draw up proper legal papers. I'd leave you money so you wouldn't have to worry about that, and Charlotte could go to school. And you wouldn't have to worry about being a governess.
Just about being a mother.
She's never had a proper home before. So far, I've never found anybody high enough in my esteem that I could entrust her to.
She's not a parcel, Mr. Onedin. Do you think you know me well enough?
Yes, I do.
We'll have to see what Charlotte has to say.
Oh, she'll love it. Look, talk to her by all means, and then tomorrow we can go and see that house, eh? I know you'll both be very happy. Well, good night then, eh?
Night.
But Mrs. Fraser, at 24 and 6, we won't survive.
But we still have the shipyard to fall back on.
The banks will call in the loans.
Very well. I shall visit the banks in my best gown.
Mrs. Fraser, I beg you to reconsider.
Go back on my word. But I thought that just wasn't done.
Well, I can tell them you've had further thoughts on the matter. Being new to the business and being...
A woman?
They'll understand.
No. 24 and 6 a ton. A fixed rate for 6 months.
But why did you have to go so low? The others were only asking 27 shillings. To have offered the same would have been enough.
Not nearly enough. I had to make sure our price was so low, none of the others would even dare to compete.
Well, who wants to at that price? It's disaster. Besides, 2 more ships? We haven't got 2 more ships.
No, but we shall have. Yes?
May I come in, Mrs. Fraser?
Oh, yes. Come in, Mr. Bell.
They will talk her out of it. You know they can't afford to carry freight at that price.
If Fraser's go bankrupt, it'll be no consolation to you.
With the 2 extra ships she promised, she'll be carrying 2/3 of the entire trade from Liverpool.
She hasn't even got them.
That still leaves 1/3 to be divided amongst the rest of you.
Oh, thank you very much.
At your conference rates.
We can't charge those now.
Not with Crampton and I and Bell all running to grab what's left.
I don't think Bell's grabbing, from what I've heard.
What do you mean?
He's grabbed already.
Have you? And at what rate?
The same as yours, 24 and 6 a ton.
So between us, we've cleared the South American market for the next 6 months.
If we last that long.
Oh, we shall, Mr. Bell. Yes? You know Mr. Harvey?
Javier.
Mr. Bell,
I asked him to make some inquiries for me.
Beach and Crampton are putting their ships up for charter.
What's that?
They have no choice, sir.
They'll get no takers. Too many steamers laid up as it is.
I could find employment for 2 of them. Get them, Mr. Harvey, 1 from each. You'll find they won't be expensive.
Excuse me.
You're saying you never even had that extra tonnage? You were counting on Beach and Crampton going down.
They can't afford to run empty ships for the next 6 months, can they?
I only hope we can afford to run full ones.
If it's put 2 of our competitors out of the South American trade altogether, it's worth hanging on by our teeth. Because in 6 months' time, with only Bells and Frasers left...
We'll have the shippers running after us. For a change.
Right. Shall we make a conference then, Mr. Bell? Just you and I? Say, 32 shillings a ton at least?
Anyone can see you're James Onedin's sister.
I am Elizabeth Fraser.
Papa? Charlotte? Wait a minute. Letty says we're going to live in Liverpool.
Perhaps.
But your father won't be living with us, Charlotte. Why not?
I never thought you had it in you the other day to beat the whole shipping world at their own game.
Neither did I then. Would you like a drink?
Yes, please.
That's why I wanted somebody like you I could rely on.
Good. Thank you.
Only I'm not sure that I can afford you now, Matt.
What do you mean?
You weren't altogether wrong about me.
I know. I'm glad.
Well, I can't afford that, can I?
Why not?
If I'm to run Fraser's, I've got to work 10 times harder than any man.
So?
Well, if one's going to win, one has to be single-minded. Brother James taught me that.
Is winning as important as all that?
If you don't think so, you're no use to Fraser's.
Frasers? I just want to be of use to you, Elizabeth.
Yes, I know. But after what happened yesterday, I can't help questioning your motives.
Motives? As one of your employees, ma'am, I shall, of course, undertake to keep my feelings to myself in future, if that's what you want.
It's not what I want, Matt. But it's how it would have to be on both sides.
You are like your brother James. Business before everything.
If I don't put business before everything, I might lose it altogether. I'm a woman in a man's world.
With me to help you?
Yes, you'd be doing the business at the shipping club, and I'd be relegated to the drawing room.
No.
Yes. Even you would come to humour me in the end.
Never, Elizabeth.
Oh, please don't go on, Matt.
I've signed on under Captain Corcoran on the Prince Edward. We sail on the tide.
What?
She's your ship. You can appoint another mate in my place. Well, I'll be home again in 4 months.
You see, Charlotte, it's not considered right for a man and a woman to live together in the same house unless they're married. But I shan't be far away, eh? Hey, if that house we saw this morning doesn't prove suitable, we can always find another one. May not be in Liverpool, but I shall come and see you. Often as I can.
Come along, Charlotte. We'll miss that train. You promised Miss Mullen would be back before nightfall.
Pa, you could live with us if you did marry Letty.
Charlotte! Run outside and see if the cab's there. Go on, quick.
Goodbye, Pa.
You see, I'm not ready to settle for the chimney corner yet.
It was the child who asked, not me. Goodbye, Mr. Onedin.
Letty. You will stay with her, though, won't you?
We can't let her down on that as well, can we?
Have you finished, madam? Yes. Alice, get the carriage. I'm going out. Turn around, Harris.
Going back to Derby, are they, sir?
Yes. Ah, well. If you want me, I'll be at the exchange. Get some business.
Aye, sir.